It's Halloween season again. Time for the Satanic Temple and Salem's witchy tourism and Amelia nearly getting to work on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Sort of. Oh, and did you catch our All the Horror bonus episode? We were glad to provide an audio to the podcast subscribers, but the live stream was pretty visually fabulous. So you should take a few minutes to swing by the YouTube channel and take a peek at how cute we all were. But anyway, Halloween. Let's get creepy.
Welcome to
Pitney and Amelia's Bitchin' Boutique. We may be awful, but we're right.
I had a realization the other day. You know, sometimes it's like, like things from your life that you remember like vaguely when they took place, but you don't remember necessarily like exactly what year or whatever.
Yeah, half my life. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, we've talked before about, we've talked about bad roommates and things. And I've mentioned before this one particular roommate that I had who was kind of a whore.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat. And, there were always guys sniffing about, There are always guys coming around trying to bang my roommate,
Yeah, and I guess she was cute, but I can picture her in my mind, but I guess I'm kind of biased that I don't know, but apparently she was hot.
I swing very slightly in that direction. I wouldn't go for her.
Yeah.
Apparently women that looked like the lead singer of REO's Speedwagon would go for her because when she decided to be a lesbian, when she decided she would only date women, that was the one she went with. Oh.
Fabulous.
Like, really? That's where you're going? Because, God, when she first said I'm only going to date women from now on, I was really thinking that could potentially be something awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that? Really? Anyway. Her taste in men was better than that. I was hoping her taste in women would be okay.
Did she have like a kinky perm and a nose that looks like a pickle?
I don't know if it was a perm, but it was some unfortunate hair. But anyway. So there was this period where there was this guy sniffing around who my memory was that, and it was during a period where, at that point, I had just started a job that was seasonal, and I would kind of go in and out of like being on unemployment. I wasn't working consistently all the time. And so at that particular time, I wasn't working very steadily. And this guy who I thought was sort of cute,
mm-hmm.
and I never really got much of a feeling that she thought he was that cute. But, as long as a guy was paying attention to her, I guess that was worth...
He had a wiener and he bought her drinks.
Yeah. As long as he was willing to worship her to the level at which she felt was appropriate, Anyway, so she was not working. That's also the other bad roommate aspect, was that she was living in my house with no job and running up all my bills and not contributing in any way to the household. That's a major portion of why the bad roommate status. You can be as big a whore you want as long as you pay your fucking bills. But that was a problem. 'Cause I was fucking broke. I had a hard enough time paying my part of the bills, and then she was paying absolutely nothing. So, So he was talking about how he was working on a movie, and he kept talking about how he needed an assistant, and he kept offering her this job to be his assistant working on this movie, and she was just not interested. But the job was he was doing special effects on what was this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just mention that what I looked up recently, because I realized the other day that because there are so goddamn many.
Oh, yes, there are. And I have seen them. I think I've seen them all.
I have not, because as far as I'm concerned, there's like a few that matter, and the rest of them
but I think I've seen them all. Well, you know me, I watch everything of everything.
Oh, I know. But this particular one is significant. 1995's Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
Starring the, at the time unknown, Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this was back when Renee Zellweger was still a waitress at the titty bar, Sugars, I think, where a friend of ours worked. And I don't know.
Sugars. That's the only titty bar I've actually been into.
Because our friend worked there.
And it was fun.
I don't think our friend was there in that year, though. In 1995,
no, she
wasn't
not
there yet, because she was still in school, I think, at that point. Anyway, but yeah, so he was doing special effects on that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and my roommate was not interested in working with him on that. But I was frequently in the room while these conversations were happening, and I was like, I'm not working right now. I would enjoy doing special effects on a horror movie, because, like, ever since I was a kid, that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, and you have a blatant interest background in it, and you were always creative. Yeah, anyway.
And even though I never actually did it, I was such a fan of that, and I read so much about that sort of thing that I knew how shit worked, and I knew how it was done. I had just never put my hands on it before.
Yeah.
You know, I knew about air bladders and liquid latex and such things. Although actually at the time I had worked some at a costume shop, and I had sold makeup, which included things like liquid latex and things. I had very, very minor exposure to products. Anyway, but there was one time when he wanted her to come over to his house, and so I drove her because she didn't have a car. So I got to go to his house, which was filled with his projects and stuff he was working on for that movie. And I mean, the main thing I remember, apart from just shelves and shelves covered with latex appliances and pieces of things, was a human headless, limbless torso hanging on a meat hook in the middle of a room.
Oh, how fabulous.
And I mean, you don't forget that.
Yeah,
you don't forget walking into someone's house and that's just there, you know? And so, you know, when I decided the other night to figure out, so which Chainsaw movie was this, and looked it up and figured out which one it was, and then I went to IMDb and I looked at and I won't say what his name is, but you know, people can go to IMDb. They just heard me say which one it was, and they can look through the staff, the special effects staff, and they can guess maybe which one it was. But I will say that the guy has worked on quite a few movies, and damn it,
because if he would have done the right thing, your life would have gone a totally different direction, because you totally would have stuck with him, and that would have been so cool.
I mean, now granted, it probably wouldn't have been my career, because I don't know how much work I would have gotten, and I probably wouldn't have moved away, and I probably, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, come on. I mean, shit, I would have fucked him probably, but he wasn't interested in me. That's really what it comes down to, is he wasn't going to offer me the job because he didn't want to fuck me.
Yeah, even though you were totally more qualified and actually interested in it. Yes.
In both the job and the fucking, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
But he didn't really need an assistant. I think that was just...
I think that's probably true. That's probably true.
The Bitchin' Boutique.
Yes.
I think we need to give them a thing, Spike. We can give them a drop that they could plan out their show.
Yes, I think we've got to find some time and get time to do that.
Right now. I think we should do it right now. Look, I'll show you how easy it is, Spike. Watch this. I'm just going to do it live.
Okay, do it live.
Like that bloke screams. I'm just going to do it live. Watch this. Hi, this is Dr. Dan from the Two Skeptical... I can't do it now. Look, I can't speak. Too much pressure. I'll try again. Take 52. Hi, this is Dr. Dan from the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast, and you are listening to the most bitchin' boutique. See? That was easy, wasn't it?
Okay.
They could send us one, we could play it as.
Yeah.
Right, you do it.
Yeah.
Right,
What do you want me to say?
Whatever comes to mind.
Hi, this is Spike from the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast, who ain't no bitch, but you're listening to the Bitchin' Boutique.
Oh, that was good. I hope they use that. Let's see if they cut it and put it in their next show.
Diplomatic community.
So you have two separate connections.
Yes.
Connections to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. My dear sweet friend Bill Johnson.
Yep.
Who I think I've talked about this before, but it's been a while, so I'll tell it again. Who was Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And I did not know for a long, long time that every Saturday morning for a couple of years before I realized, he and I were in the same dance class together every Saturday morning, and he and I were both kind of the back left corner of the room, and I stood behind him, and he is a very large, hulking man, as one can imagine, the guy playing Leatherface. And just him and me just sweating a lot in the back of a dance studio every Saturday.
Now, did I ever go with you when he was there? Because I don't remember.
I kind of feel like by the time I started dragging people to those classes with me, I don't think I was standing at the back anymore. I think that was after I started going to the front.
I'm just curious.
So it's possible, but I feel like that was later, because that was when I think you started going after the studio changed hands with the new owner. When it was bought by the new owner. But the very first year,
thinking about that place the other day, and I was surprised how much I remember going with you and how many people I remember from there. Isn't that weird?
Oh my God, I still keep in touch with a lot of people from there. I made a lot of good friends there.
I have friends on Facebook from there. Yep. Anyway.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, but I was going to say that was one of the things that was so much fun about the very first Texas Frightmare weekend. The first year we went to Texas Frightmare, that was actually the first time that I walked up to him, because I was used to standing behind him. We would see each other every Saturday, but we didn't really interact. And then at the con, I just walked right up to him and said, I know you, but I know you in a way that nobody else here knows you. And he thought that was so
Did he
funny.
recognize you?
After I pointed it out, he totally knew who I was.
Yeah.
And he just gave me this big hug, and it was just like, oh my God! It was so great.
You could totally milk that and totally somehow come up with more stories than there are to be a low-level guest at a low-level con because of your tenuous connection to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because there are some guests at these low-level cons. Well, I knew somebody whose cousin was so-and-so who talked about it once, and they'll be a guest.
Well, yeah. Hey,
And
I
you
mean,
can
you
go
know,
to a panel.
I could have almost had a part in Nail Gun Massacre 2, but it just didn't happen.
Yes.
Those guys totally would have put me in Nail Gun Massacre 2.
Oh, I remember that. Didn't they have a contest to be in it?
Yeah, they had a raffle.
Oh, I don't remember. Did we buy tickets for it, or was it that if we bought the movie, then we'd be in the?
No, because that was a buying tickets for the raffle. The first year of Frightmare was when every single time I walked past their table, they begged me to buy the movie, and they kept upping the ante of all the things they'd give me if I bought it. And I'm surprised they didn't offer me a walk-on part in Nail Gun Massacre 2 just for buying the movie the first time. Because that was like every single one of them autographed it. I mean, it was just, you know.
Well, they loved you.
They loved me. They basically pledged their undying love to me.
Well, because of, scenes in the movie, they're into the bazooms.
Well, yeah.
So.
And damn it, everything about the first year of Frightmare, it was just the happiest, friendliest time that any convention in the history of cons.
Oh my gosh,
nothing has
it was
ever
fabulous.
been like that.
No.
I still can't get over it. I still can't get over the fact that I got to tell Herschel Gordon Lewis what a goddamn inspiration he was. The guy who made 2000 Maniacs. The guy who made the Gore Girls. I got to tell him what an incredible inspiration he was as an independent filmmaker.
And that con, there was a lot more. I mean, I guess the guests at Frightmare are always like somewhat accessible because they're just there in the dealer's room and you just wait in line to go up to them. Mm-hmm. But they seemed way more accessible at this con because even though it was huge, it wasn't huge enough. You could just go up and talk to somebody.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
without
my God.
waiting in line. And don't you remember, like, I talked to Tom Savini and I was broke at that point, but he signed my DVD anyway.
Oh, he was totally more than happy to talk to me and take a picture with me, even though I didn't have any money left.
You know, and so, and that was like going up and just talking to Brinky Stevens. And it was like, that doesn't happen anymore unless you want to wait in line.
Yeah.
For an hour with $75 in your hand,
I would love, like, a reunion of, although, I mean, God, how many of us are still around from the first, like, everyone who was at the actual first Frightmare. A lot of the guests aren't even around anymore.
No, but that would be really fun.
Oh my God. Best con ever. And we were there.
Yes, we were. Good memories. Good memories.
Good times.
The year of self-care. I won't keep you from the Halloween fun for too long. I just want to remind you of something having to do with self-care. Because I know you're tired. I'm tired. Pitney's tired. We're all tired. But just tuck this away. Keep it in your pocket for later. It's better to do something than to do nothing. That's it. Because shit is really overwhelming sometimes. Don't look at the huge pile. Look at that one thing you can actually handle. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Is the sink full of dishes taunting you? Maybe just wash that one bowl that you need to use right now. Can't bring yourself to exercise? Well, roll around on your bed and twist and stretch in every direction. Feel like you don't have the energy to really brush your teeth right now? Well, swish some mouthwash around in there and at least kill a bunch of germs. And then take that nap. Naps are awesome. You can do more stuff tomorrow. Or not. It's okay. There ain't no chore police coming over.
So,
Yes.
do you have Hulu?
Of course I do.
Okay.
We have, like, all the things, I think. Yes.
I watched this documentary movie last night that was so fabulous.
Oh my god! Okay.
And it's called Hail Satan.
Why do I not know this?
And Hail Satan with a question mark.
Ooh. Because you know I love Satan. I mean, I can't even
Yes.
believe that I don't know this. Oh my god. Okay.
And I think what made this documentary come into existence was, do you remember a couple years ago, there was the big thing about the 10 Commandments statue that they wouldn't take down, and so...
Oh, in Oklahoma, I think.
Yeah.
Yes!
Or was it Oklahoma or Arkansas or whatever the fuck it was?
I feel like it was Oklahoma. But they're kind
And
of, I
then-
mean, they're sort of the same.
Yeah, and then so they decided that they were going to, well, if they were going to have the goddamn 10 Commandments, and they were going to put up a statue of Baphomet.
Yes! Which is awesome. A Baphomet with 2 little children, if I remember.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Which is actually a beautiful statue.
It really is.
actually.
It's
it
fantastic.
really is a gorgeous statue. Yeah, I would totally have a little one of it in my room, except my mom.
Baphomet's so cute. Baphomet, there's like little stuffed Baphomets, like on Etsy. There's people who make like little cute plushy ones. Oh, they're fantastic. I love them.
But I want a Baphomet statue. Anyway.
Totally.
So, this movie was about that, but it was also about the Temple of Satan.
Oh,
As opposed to the Church of Satan.
Oh, the Satanic Temple as opposed to the Church of
Satanic
Satan.
Temple as opposed to the Church of Satan.
Right.
It was so interesting, and you could tell the filmmaker was completely sympathetic to the Satanists.
As they should be.
Because it was all about how do they really worship Satan as an entity? Of course the fuck not.
Because they're basically a political organization.
It's a political organization to say, you know, fuck you to Christian patriarchy.
Right.
And fuck you to saying that America is a Christian nation, because it's fucking not. But it was all about the Temple of Satan and how they came into existence, and interviewing all these people and the political things that they've done and the freedom of religion, and so much of it was focused on this right-wing Christian Republican outrage over stuff that they were doing, and it was almost that it was made to mock these Republican Christians, and it was fabulous.
Oh my god, that's wonderful.
And they didn't even say anything about these stupid Republican Christians. They just showed footage of them talking.
Well, yeah, that's so interesting, because I'm assuming...
God, were they stupid.
Well, of course they were. And it's so interesting that you bring that up, because just recently, the Satanic Temple really mobilized, and I didn't get a chance to really look into what they did, but I know that because of the shit going down in Texas with basically banning abortion, which, I mean, if you're listening to us and you're not pro-choice, go the fuck away.
Yeah, you're at the wrong show.
You're
the
wrong.
wrong fucking show.
I don't even know why you're here.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go away, change your mind. Realize that you're fucking wrong. Change your mind. But because really, because what's beautiful, I just opened up this article that I had sent myself because I wanted to look into this, but because the Satanic Temple was mobilizing to basically try to use religious liberty Because you know how Republicans love religious liberty.
Oh, I know.
It's all about freedom of religion.
But it's all about so they can get away with their fucking bullshit over their false religion.
But the Satanists are always, they're always happy to jump in there and go, well, as long as we're talking about religious liberty, we'd like to move in there and make absolutely goddamn sure that anyone who is a member of our church, anyone who is part of our organization, doesn't have to abide by your bullshit laws.
Mm-hmm.
And what's wonderful is that Dan Crenshaw, who is a Texas Republican asshole, he's the guy with the eye patch.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about.
When I was reading about all of this after seeing it, I came across him. And I was actually thinking that Dan Crenshaw was kind of hot.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
But he's still a Republican asshole.
Of course he is. Well, it is very much up your alley that someone who is really inappropriate and would kick the shit out of you is exactly who you're going to be like, ooh, yeah.
But he's just one blowjob away from becoming a screaming liberal,
He just hasn't met you yet. That's all. But he found out that the Satanic Temple was jumping into the abortion issue in Texas, and Dan Crenshaw decided to tweet, if you're ever wondering if you're on the right side of history, just check which side the Satanists are on. And he thought he was being clever. But really, he was just emphasizing, it's like, yeah, the Satanists are always on the right side.
Oh, yeah.
Because they always have the actual logical argument that you cannot argue with. Because they are arguing your side of it, Dan Crenshaw. They are proving to you that your side of the argument.
Yeah, and the thing is just like what they don't realize, like Satan is a Christian god.
Yeah, he's totally their inventor.
Satan doesn't exist outside of Christianity. Give me a fucking... I mean, other evil, but Satanists, they don't worship Satan, who doesn't exist anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't exist anyway. But they don't worship him. It's the ultimate anti-Christian. And I remember I used to be offended by upside-down crosses because of my upbringing.
But isn't upside-down crosses, isn't that... Was it St. Peter? Was it St. Peter who was crucified on an upside-down cross?
Oh, there is some weird, yeah. But, the Satanists would use it, and all, like, the heavy metal stoners in the 80s would have their upside-down crosses.
the earring with that was the upside-down cross.
And I used to be really offended by that, but then I'm realizing, like, that's a perfect symbolism of being anti-Christian, and I have no more guilt or no more karmic weird energy feeling bad about being rabidly anti-Christian.
Right.
And so I'm all about these Satanists, and I think they were wonderful people. Like, I would have been friends with all of them that they were interviewing. They were really, really cool, and they were all about women's rights and gay rights and human rights and social justice and fuck all this white Christian bullshit in America. And I thought it was just great. And the whole tone of this movie was to that.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm totally going to look it up.
And they showed all the footage they showed. It was just like these fat white men in suits. Well, you see on the dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust."
Yeah, and it also has a pyramid with an all-seeing eye on it, and all these Masonic symbols and shit. That if they read too much into that, they wouldn't like that either.
Yeah, but it was just like all these like white, fat old fucks talking about goddamn Jesus and goddamn the Bible. And they were just like getting pissed off. Whereas the Satanists were like, it's all about social justice. They're like, no, we don't worship the devil as an entity because he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This is completely anti-Christian.
Well, you know,
stuff,
evangelical Christians
so
have never
that.
they've never been too caught up in, you know, facts. They really don't let facts get in the way of their arguments ever. And they don't even let the Bible get in the way of their arguments because, you know, they might notice that God aborts babies all the fucking time. And, you know, so if they really had a problem with it, you know, maybe they would read their own fucking book. I mean, if I remember right, there's like a recipe in the Bible for how to kill a baby. How to you know,
how to terminate an unwanted parasite.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
How to spontaneously abort the little.
Well, I still like my thing. I want like bowls of Plan B pills, like Tic Tacs, on the cafeteria tables of every high school.
Oh my God.
But anyway, this is not supposed to be about abortion. It's supposed to be about the temple.
It's supposed to be about Satan, God damn it.
The Satanic Temple, I'm sorry.
Yes.
But anyway, no, but it was really, really interesting. And the people that, I mean, I've, you know, come across people that are Satanists. And I've always thought they were like a really interesting, very sweet people. And we've never talked in detail. But I did know that they always largely identified as atheists. And it was just a movement of humanitarianism to get rid of this bullshit that religion hides behind in America. And it was just really interesting. It really, really made me respect the Satanists, you know.
Although you do have to differentiate between the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple because they do.
The Church of Satan is just a bunch of stupid, pissed off Catholics that worship the devil because, I'm sorry, Anton LaVey, I'm sorry to piss off all my pagan friends who are wrong in their belief that Aleister Crowley is anything but a Satan-worshipping angry Catholic. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. That is Church of Satan. It's blasphemy for the sake of blasphemy because they're Christians. And because they believe in the wrath of the Christian God, they don't like it, so they're going to worship the devil as an entity because they feel oppressed because they really believe in the false Christian God. That is the Church of Satan.
Yeah, it's almost like they're doing it to prove it even more. It's weird. Remember?
That is the Church of Satan.
Remember when we were at that con? Remember, it was at Control that one year, the first time we were at Control, the year that, like, Magic the Gathering was, like, a new thing. And people kept disappearing into rooms to go play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And the people from, was it Wizards of the Coast? Is that who was Magic the Gathering?
Yeah.
And they were there. And remember, like, one of, like, the bigwigs from Wizards of the Coast was there at the con. And we were so weirded out by him because he totally reminded us of Anton LaVey. Do you remember that?
Remember that?
Like, I was so uncomfortable. Like, I didn't know what Magic the Gathering was, but I had a feeling that it made me uncomfortable because that guy reminded me of Anton LaVey. Like, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I don't want to have anything to do with it. But then it started ruining cons because people would go to cons and half the people going to the cons would just be in rooms somewhere playing a goddamn card game and not being out and drinking and having fun with everyone else. It was very weird.
Yeah, and I remember I've always wanted to read the Satanic Bible because I'd be interested in to see what it has to say. Because
have
I've always understood Satanism to be a very ethical, albeit hedonistic, I almost want to say narcissistic,
Yeah.
but maybe in a different way. But I've always seen Satanism to be very ethical.
Yeah.
And just the antithesis of all of the control and the oppression of Christianity. So I'd be really interested in the Satanic Bible, and I'd be really interested in what, like, Anton LaVey himself would have had to say, right?
Right. I remember, I don't know if I read the whole thing.
Yeah.
I do remember when I did read it, I remember rolling my eyes a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't remember enough specifically to remember exactly why.
Yeah, but I know that I've met people in my travels.
Yeah.
Thinking of a particular person, which I'm not going to talk about because I've told this story before, that I met at Ren Fair one year, who was like a hardcore theistic Satanist, as opposed to the temple,
Right.
the Satanic Temple, which is not theistic Satanism.
Right.
But the theistic Satanist, give me a break. And the stuff that he said, I was like, oh, please, that never happened. Oh, please, that's never real. I mean, it was right up there with speaking in tongues and the Holy Spirit and blah, blah. I mean, it's right up with that level of bullshit. Because all the Church of Satan is Catholicism.
Right.
But the opposite.
Like, they basically take the rituals of Catholicism but go, ooh, but let's paint everything black.
And, you know, anyway, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure there's people that disagree, and I don't know that much about it, and I don't care to, so don't try to educate me, because I don't give a fuck. Because if you believe in Satan as an entity and you're worshiping him, I don't give a fuck what you have to say, fuck off. But if you're a member of the Satanic Temple,
You're pretty cool.
I am totally on board, and call me up because I may even join you. Because I think it's fucking fabulous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Hail Satan.
Hail Satan!
On Hulu.
I am
really
so looking it up. I'm so excited. Oh, my God. I'm
I just gotta
excited.
say, I don't know if he's gay. I don't know if he's straight. I know this is not his real name because he uses a fake name to protect himself.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But Lucian Greaves.
Yeah.
If you ever hear this, you're hot. I love you.
I knew you would.
Let's go out on a date because I want to marry you.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew you'd like him.
But Lucian, know that I will always respect you, but I'm not an atheist and I will be pagan through and through.
Right.
But I'll still marry you. Because God, he's hot.
But his name sounds like lotion.
Yes.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you!
That's right! We are FriGay the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
get slayed!
So, speaking of the Satanic Temple,
Uh-huh.
Which, my future husband leads, by the way. If I didn't make that clear earlier, thank you very much.
Oh, I think we got it.
Yeah. Anyway, the Satanic Temple is in Salem, Mass.
Yes.
And which it was actually recently, they were vandalized, the Satanic Temple.
Really?
The headquarters. Which doesn't surprise me entirely, but it does sort of surprise me in the sense that town is completely exists for making money off its ugly history as far as harassing
it's so weird.
So-called witches and being like this supernatural blah 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 place.
God.
So it almost surprises me that the Satanic Temple would have been vandalized, because I don't think the Museum of Witchcraft is vandalized, because it's like a revered thing in Salem.
Yeah. Salem is such... That whole part of the country is so weird. One of these days I'm going to go up there, because as much as... I've been to Cape Cod, because I have a cousin who lives on Cape Cod, who grew up in Florida but ended up there. And so I've been like all up and down the Cape, but I haven't really been to like the rest of Massachusetts. But like I've always been kind of interested in like doing like, historical trips, because
that'd be fascinating.
As much as ugly as, the Puritan, genocide of the natives and everything was, it's also unfortunately my family history.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's ugly and disgusting, but it's also something that, I'm weirdly drawn to, because it's something I feel like I've like, even before I knew that I had a Mayflower guy in my family. But even before that, like I knew that part of the country was like a thing that I was always kind of drawn up there. But the thing about Salem that's so weird is that it just sort of, like, Salem just sort of decided. They were sort of, that town was sort of tangentially involved in witch trials and stuff, but in reality, that place wasn't really where shit happened. They were near where things happened, and there was another town nearby that also was named Salem something, that changed its name later because of the ugliness.
Mm-hmm.
But because this town was still called Salem and the name Salem was associated with it, they kind of just sort of absorbed it. But what's really, really weird about it is that, like, the town, and it's a fairly recent thing where the town just sort of decided, let's have tourism and let's find a way to make this city all witchy and spooky and fun, and we'll make a lot of money around Halloween and shit. Even though, if you're gonna try to profit off of the fucking abomination that you're claiming that doesn't even belong to you anyway, but even if it did, it's like, that is like the grossest thing to pretend.
It's like, let's make money off past torture and executions. Yeah, that sounds like a good but it's a good money-making thing.
Well, apparently, and what's really strange, though, is that, like, there's a statue there of Samantha from Bewitched, that apparently was put up, I don't know, like within the last 20 years or so, and people were really upset about it. And it's like, if it was,
would. I would be upset about it because it's so unrealistically portraying what a witch really is.
Except that Bewitched is the only reason why that city is associated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because nobody was looking at Salem, Massachusetts as anything to do with that, except that the TV show because that TV show was all very feminist and stuff.
Yeah.
And she traveled back in time and went to Salem, Massachusetts and got all the witches set free and exposed all the prejudices of all the mean men.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, people in the area were like, oh, we could start. That was a year after that happened was when they opened the Witch Museum.
Yeah, well, all right for making a buck. But yeah.
But
why were people upset? Because of the witchcraft? Because it's not realistic witchcraft, or because it was attached to witchcraft and they don't like it, even though it's not?
Because it was attached to a TV show.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because Samantha's not... Because they want to be the kind of witches that wear pointy hats.
Okay.
Because they have an image to protect. This bullshit image that isn't a realistic image anyway. But they don't like this groovy 60s bitch. They don't like that kind of witch. Because it's not the kind of bullshit fake witch. It wasn't even like
real witches or real practitioners or real pagans that were bent out of shape. It was people that the image wasn't.
The only
what they wanted it to be Halloween-y.
The only real witches that are there moved there.
Yeah.
Because feminists and witches moved there in the 70s. Because in the 70s, paganism and feminism and stuff all started kind of stirring up anyway.
Yeah.
And Salem was a place where a lot of that kind of took hold and kind of people started moving there. And so it all just kind of... Hey, let's have a cafe and we'll put a witch's hat on our sign. And we'll have we'll do card readings and you can there's oh my god, when I was looking through stuff, I saw a picture from the front of a gift shop that there was a t-shirt that said I got stoned in Salem.
Oh, see, no.
And it was like,
yeah, no.
Who is that for? You're seriously making a joke out of, like, executing people.
Uh-huh.
It's like, that's not cute. That's not funny. And then there's people who live there who are just trying to live their lives.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, God damn it. It's like people are ending up like hating Halloween because of all the goddamn tourists who are like, ooh, it's spooky season. And it's like.
But it has nothing to do with Halloween or Samhain or whatever the fuck. Because it's not real. The witches that were there were not actually witches.
Oh my God. It's so awful. And it's like, I was looking at. There's this place, well, okay, there's the museum, and then there's this thing that has like it's like a reenactment, but it's like a play, and it's called Cry Innocent, I think is what it's called. And I read multiple articles that talked about this thing. And the woman who does it, she bless her heart. You know, she really is trying to do something good, but you don't get to control who shows up to your little play. And when you're in the middle of a town that can't decide, okay, well, first of all, you know, like if Salem's going to talk about Salem's history, they're going to be talking about genocide of natives. They're going to be talking about the whaling industry. They're going to be talking about the usual coastal Puritan shit.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to that, when it gets to the witch trials and all that shit, they have this weird twisted way of presenting it where, because it's a little uncomfortable, and so they can't seem to make up their minds. they present it sort of seriously, like frowny face serious. Like they don't want to make it seem like they're making light of it because, well, obviously it was bad and we're making frowny faces about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we're not gonna take your money and, you know,
well, of course,
sell you a t-shirt. And, you know, it's like, but this woman on this one interview, she was talking about how like a classroom of like middle schoolers came and she was pissed off because if the audience comes in with an agenda and then they don't listen to what's being said in the play because it has a lot of audience participation, and her idea is it's like it's like the trial is happening and it's, you know, it's sort of it's a completely complete dramatization, so it's a fake case, you know.
Yeah.
But the idea is that people from the audience are encouraged to, you know, accuse or offer evidence or whatever and like participate in it. And this whole group of like middle schoolers showed up being like, we're going to smash the patriarchy, which is all fun and dandy, but you're missing the point, because her whole thing is if you refuse to like, if you refuse to have any empathy for all the people involved and like really try to put yourself there and try to understand all the people involved, then you're actually not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
Like her whole point of the existence of this whole play is that everyone should leave there thinking about it. You know, like learning from history and possibly approaching the current world differently and seeing things differently. But people are coming in just being like, you bad, you good. I don't need to see this to tell me anything.
Oh, well, of course.
It's just like, oh, well, you know, I mean, I appreciate that she's at least trying to use it for some kind of good.
Yeah.
But she might be one of the few people in the middle of all of this that's not just making a mockery of, you know.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting because I was reading stuff from the Museum of Witchcraft in Salem.
Yeah.
And there's a really interesting story on their, you know, the official blog that's, you know, from their main website. And it was comparing that to all the McCarthyism bullshit in the 50s with the communism.
Right.
And it was written from, you know, a gay person's perspective. So it was written about the gay community, and it was tying it all basically just how stupid and fucked Americans are.
Oh, yeah.
And how gross our society is, and how our society has been gross from day one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they tied all this stuff together, and all the, you know, the witch hunting of the communists and the witch hunting of the gays because of AIDS.
Right.
You know, and the witch hunting of the liberals because people are stupid enough to think that Donald Trump is good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they tied it all. And I thought, so the perspective of the actual Witchcraft Museum is actually really good. And they have all this historical information on the thing, and they have a whole new exhibit that opened a few years ago that's about modern witchcraft and what it actually really is, and how it has nothing to do with this made-up bullshit that the Puritans believed in.
But doesn't that museum also
really interesting?
But doesn't that museum also have a green-faced, pointy-hatted witch in it?
Oh yeah, because that's, you know, gonna get the people in. But I think it's interesting that they're making an effort to make it be understood what it really was.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, the rah-rah party girls and the stupid frat boys that are probably going to go there to get drunk on Halloween night and go to all these places don't have the mental capacity to really understand any of that, you know?
Right. Speaking of that museum, there was this one article This one article was my favorite article, and it was way, way, way too long, and I will absolutely link it in the show notes because everyone should read it because it's amazing. I will say who wrote it. Her name was Robin DeRosa, and it's like a really, really long, very academic kind of article about how she was just walking through Salem just trying to find real shit. And it took her a long time to find out that there was a museum that actually was filled with real stuff, but it wasn't where any of the tourists were. And she found out you could actually walk into this place and just say, hi, can I see stuff from the witch trials? And then they just take you in a room and hand you a box and go, here you go. And you can just go and read actual transcripts, like handwritten, really old things.
That's cool, yeah.
And she's like, I don't have to wear special gloves. I don't have to, like, what? You're really not protecting this? I can just walk in here? But she also ran into tourists who would go to the Salem Witch Museum and thinking they were going to see real shit, and then they were like really sad that they weren't seeing real shit, and she was going like, gee, I don't know, should I tell him? Because apparently it's not common knowledge. You just go to that museum over there. You go to 3 blocks down, it's over there if you want to see the real shit. But she said in the Salem Witch Museum, there's a point where the guide takes you down to the dungeon. And this was part of her thing when she was kind of explaining about the very dramatic and, oh my God, really, is this how we're going to present this stuff? And this was what was said by the narrator or their guide. Before we go, I want to tell you a few facts about our dungeon. This is a recreation, not the original dungeon. The original stood about 500 yards from here on Federal Street. The telephone company stands there today. About 50 years ago, they were digging a new foundation for a new phone company, and they came across the remains of the original dungeon. They did save a few artifacts from it. Most of them are at the Peabody Essex Museum, which is actually the real one that she was talking about.
Yeah.
And we have one beam downstairs from the original that I'll point out when we go down. So when they go down there, the person says as they go down, you're welcome to touch the beam from the original dungeon if you like. But if you turn into a frog, I'm not responsible. And I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, oh, here's a real actual thing. Let's make a joke of it.
Yeah, and
it's an actual dungeon where people were kept in prison, and here's a horrible thing, but let's make a joke about turning people into a fucking frog.
Yeah, and I can understand, like, the value of those, the museum is like a history, like a tragic thing. Like the people that go visit Auschwitz, which I would never want to do. It would freak me out too much. But anyway... But Halloween tourism based on this thing that has nothing to do with Halloween, which, we so go into the Halloween, Samhain, witchcraft, blah, blah, blah. It all has to do with one another. This has nothing to do with actual witchcraft.
Yeah.
We
did a whole Halloween episode where we talked about what the Halloween version of a witch and how it has to do with how women used to brew beer, and you can listen to our old Halloween episodes if you want to hear about that. Because it really is
the equivalent of having a Halloween party at Auschwitz because horrible things happened there.
Auschwitz. Auschwitz. But this is Auschwitz.
I mean, it's the equivalent of that. And nobody would not be offended by that.
It's so...
Horrible torture and killing happened here. And that's what Halloween is about. So let's have a big costume party here at the concentration camp.
Let's get all of our kids to dress up as witches, and then we'll all be like, oh, let's celebrate witches by going to a place where people murdered them. Where people hated witches so much that they accused women of being witches just because they felt like they were up to something.
Yeah.
And all these witches, all these women who weren't doing a goddamn thing wrong, they all were put to death for being women.
Yep. And it's just
Heaven forbid.
one more example of the filth of America.
God damn it. And just imagine if every city in America, if their number one tourism thing was, what's the worst fucking thing about this city?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can make money off of it. Like, do we have like a disgusting sinkhole full of putridity? Let's build a park around it and people pay to come in and see it.
People, like, I'm sure they would. And you could market it as like a portal to hell or something. You know?
Oh my god. Oh my god. See, at least in Austin, like, we have bats, but bats are cute and bats are nice. But no one's trying to, like, you know, there's never been anything bad about bats. And we're all about bats are cute, bats are nice, everyone be nice to the bats. And watch, and then you go stand under them, and then when they fly at dusk, they pee on you, and you go, ah!
Right.
And then you go, shit, I'll never do that again. But everyone has to do that once.
I remember I saw them many times because I thought it was so great to see like the hordes of them go, but I don't think I'd ever been peed on by one.
Well, maybe you were smart enough to stand at a different angle. I've only been on the bridge. I've never been under the bridge. I want to
be peed on, but maybe they just didn't have to go.
See, and that's the thing about this show, guys. If you don't listen to every single episode, you won't get our jokes.
Those bats just didn't have to go. And they can't feel guilty about that.
I'm not going to feel guilty about that. Why should I feel guilty about that? Mr. Vagina.
Anyway.
Happy Halloween, though.
Yes.
Happy Halloween, everyone. On that note.
Fabulous.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoy our show, please take a moment to rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher.
If you send us a screenshot of your review, we'll send you a Bitchin' Boutique sticker. Everyone loves stickers.
Please subscribe or add us to your favorites wherever you get your podcasts.
Subscribers get new episodes first and are also more attractive.
Drop us a line anytime at PitneyAndAmelia@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Poop.
You're frozen. Are you completely frozen, or am I frozen? No, I can't be frozen.
And Skype is being very naughty.
No, it's you. You're frozen. I'm texting you.
Just so you know, Amelia, for editing purposes, I'm texting you right now because Skype is being naughty.
Okay.
Well, poop. Alright, let's...
Oh, crap.
Get this going again. Hello?
Hey, okay, my Audacity is still on, so...
Yeah, mine too.
Okay, so we'll just continue back on. I don't even remember what I was saying.